How many miles are we at? I asked the person next to me between my own panting breaths. We just crossed 5 miles. The person said without looking at me, appearing as if this was easy for him. How? We just ran 5 miles. Okay, halfway there. I said to myself, giving myself encouragement in this trying time. Actually, more like 40%. We still have 8 miles left. A racer said behind me. I looked behind, seeing the skinny twat with wire-framed glasses. Shut up. I didn't say that, but I wanted to say that so bad, enough to bite my tongue. I kept running, asking myself how much hell would be ahead of me, then noticing that little skinny twat from behind is now passing me. Are you kidding me? I kept watching him, wondering how it was possible. I was going the same speed as him, but he kept getting farther and farther away. But that thought quickly left, and my body came to a stop. So did everyone else beside me. In fact, the total group of 10 stopped, and as more and more runners from behind caught up, they also stopped. Then I could hear stomping from behind me, a runner still runner, oblivious to what was in front of us. The runner now pulled in front of the pack, leading 5 feet before someone grabbed him, pulling him back. Hey, the runner yelled, fully looking back at us. Why is everyone stopped? He said. No one said a word, myself now looking down the path, the object now out of sight. His words must have scared it off. No, it was too big to be scared of a human. But what was it? What was that? Someone finally asked the group after an internal conversation. Do we go back? Someone asked. I want an update on Dip Lawrence and Nick Gibbs. Kokron, what has your team found out? A man in a dark suit asked at the end of the table. Kokron, who was a scientist still dressed in a dirty lab coat, sat in the middle of the elongated table. Across and beside of her were 8 other personnel included for this meeting. We are still on the search for Nick Gibbs. We believe he is located in the Midwest but are not able to pinpoint an exact location. As far as Dip, we have his body. He is fully deceased in every way possible. The man just laughed. And we don't have the adequate technology to cure cancer. Find both of them. Yes, sir, Kokron said shortly, knowing he shouldn't try to fight him on his words. The man now moved his attention to another, his name being Clonson. I need to know of any records of their credit cards or IDs being used. If anything attached to them has been used, I want to know. Yes, sir, Clausen said worriedly. But my team haven't discovered anything on their footprint. It's like they have vanished completely. The man frowned, remarking, Find something. Then moving to the next person. Quentin, those aliens popping around the country, what the hell are those? Well, we have given them the name Yodelines, based off the first discovery by Odin Yodelin. But these little guys have popped up all over the country. Their chemistry is much like ours, suggesting they have come from a planet much like our own. Good. And you are positive they couldn't have come from this planet? The man asked. Positive. For all the similarities, the DNA is on a different tree branch in evolution talk. These have different but similar starting ancestors. If they aren't from space, I don't know where else they could come from. Quentin replied to the man. Good work for you and the team. The man said then, Quentin interrupting. We also had an exciting discovery crossed to us this past week. A lake in Iowa, Lake Oki. A crew found what seems to be a giant salamander. More testing is required, but initial reports show the DNA sequence is a close relative to these Yodelins, maybe even a distant cousin in the evolution chart. The man nodded, now moving around the table, the patrons in the room swiveling in their chairs to keep eye contact with him. Iowa, Midwest. I suggest those searching for these outlaws start your search there, then fan out. They have evaded us for this long. They must be good, but eventually they will slip. Meeting over, I'll continue to expect weekly email updates from all until our next meeting. Mummers came from behind the man, some saying, see you next month, some annoyed they still had to work for him. The man waited till everyone left the room, now opening the cabinet and grabbing a bottle of whiskey after a small crystal-like glass that he turned in his hand, appreciating the light shimmer off. He made his way back to the table, setting the glass down and securing it to the table by the weight of the liquid he began to pour in, then sitting down and enjoying his drink. The farmer pulled down the 5th-acre plot, kicking up a gravel dust path behind from which he could barely see from the ATV. He wanted to check on the water picket, hoping that this would be where the leak had come from so that he could close it and be done with his 12-hour workday. He then sniffled, noticing a disgusting smell, getting worse and worse as he drove forward. He then came upon the smell, the dead body of a skunk in the middle of the road. "Did someone hit you, smelly bastard?" the farmer said as he maneuvered the ATV around, looking at the corpse which he had assumed died upon impact when a truck hit it, probably one of the farmers. But his assumption quickly fell apart as he saw a long line cut into the near-leather skin of the animal. Odd, he thought, taking a moment to stare at it again, now wondering if a hunter could have done this type of damage. But why hunt a skunk? No benefit. The meat's too chewy to enjoy, upon death the reap of a smell for days. The farmer continued down the road, but stopped as he even had more questions from what was pressed into the gravel and dirt. Footsteps, ones that dug at least 1 to 2 inches into the ground, one with 3 toes spread out. A dinosaur footprint. They went extinct, the farmer said to himself, a sense of fear coming over him as he looked around. He then took out his phone, taking a quick photo of the footprint and then leaving the area, the running water picket being the least of his worries for the coming moment. The morning came early for the farmer, going to the local paper with his photo and claimed that dinosaurs had come back to the present and were on his land. He set his coffee on his smaller table in his apartment. A farmer out here thinking he knows what he's talking about. He groaned, knowing that the photo itself would be enough to warrant an investigation. An hour later, he was on the road driving toward his destination. It took the investigator 5 hours before he finally reached Jonah Smith's house, which is the farmer's name who has been explainable hard to reach for the morning. Upon arrival was 2 local police cars and 4 other cars. Other investigators. Was this investigator's first thought, knowing that crazies all the way from the Rockies to the coast would be sniffing at anything dinosaur-related? He got out of his older car, one he could barely afford, and made his way to the house. There he found Jonah S. at the dining room, an investigator by the name of Sam already bringing him through the ropes. Sam now looked over. "We are finished here, Nick. You want me to give you the details or do you want to take care of it?" he said. "I'll talk to him," Nick said now, sitting down. They spoke for the next hour, Jonah giving Nick the same details and information that he had 7 hours ago. Nick was on the road again, going to where the so-called dinosaur footprint stilled itself in the dirt trail. It was large enough to be seen clearly 20 feet away, and with the cones and rope that acted as a barrier around it, Nick guaranteed you could see it from a helicopter view. He spent the next few hours patrolling the fields, eventually ending his day eating dinner at a gas station, getting the same meal over and over again, a chicken patty that was last hot 40 minutes ago. He stood upright in his car now, listening to the police radio communications as his eyes laid to rest. She tapped her fingers across the soft wood of the deck's railing, looking down and seeing the shadow of her dog illuminated by the fluorescent lights rigged upon the deck's support legs her husband had installed a few weeks ago. She was waiting for her dog to finish. It's business outside, hoping that it would hurry up so she wouldn't miss another one of Pat Sajak Wheel of Fortune puzzles. "Let's go, Bitsy," she now called out, her impatient tone ringing in the dog's head as it lifted up, her white snout now pointed and focused on its owner. "Yes, you, let's move it." She called out again, now saying, "Forget it and do your business." As her dog rotated, its body behind, looking at a brush and past that the surrounding woods. Bitsy didn't follow her owner's orders, walking toward the bush. "Forget it. Yelp when you want inside, the owner now said, flipping her body around and walking toward the sliding glass door. She now pulled the handle, the door frame sliding with a heave, and she took a step inside, her dogs yelping, causing her to stop. She became worried as it continued, now turning around and staring out into the yard. The view was illuminated by the lights. She could see a human-like figure, rising her dog above its head. The creature now walked forward, its body being shown in the light. The owner gasped, the color of her white dog clashing against the beige color of its captor, but the fur on the dog matching the same texture. She couldn't believe it. A creature had kidnapped her dog. She started to pant, now moving herself into the house. The yelps and pleas of freedom from her dog could still be heard outside, but fainter and fainter as it moved farther and farther away. "Do you know what the Patterson-Gimlin film is?" She asked the investigator Nick, who had been at her house for over an hour, but just now was given the chance to talk to the woman by the police. "Yes, Ms. Patterson. The shot was filmed in California in 1967. Supposed to show a Bigfoot walking across a creek and looking back at the camera before disappearing in the woods." Nick went. "Yes, but do you have it in your memory?" She persisted. "Yes, as any paranormal child goes, I have a good picture engraved in my mind that can replay that clip at will." "What about it?" Nick asked. "The similarities between that footage and what I saw last night. Whether it was a Bigfoot or human in a costume, I can't tell, but both looked so close to each other." She replied, "Okay, and this Bigfoot took your dog. Picked it up without injuring it?" Nick asked, starting to lean into the idea it was just a person in costume. "Yes, and you need to find my dog. The police said they would, but you also need to help," the women said. "I'll do my best and update you when I have something." "What's the woods behind your house?" Nick said, now standing up and walking toward the end of the house, staring out the window to the bush and forest behind. "Those are the Randall Woods. It's one of the larger forests a couple miles straight, and you'll hit its big campsite," she answered. The investigator nodded, knowing that is where he would begin his search. He left and started to head for the woods. He then swiped the sweat off his forehead, now looking at the sleeve and seeking a squished bug that he had crushed in the progress. He had walked around 6 miles in these woods, seldom wildlife around him with only the casual bump-in of an officer searching. Well, for the victim's dog. He now stood still, however, looking around and seeing nothing but the green and growing foliage that carpeted the forest floor. "Hello," he called out. No response was given. He kept walking, now taking out his notebook, jotting down "being followed." The investigator now opened his notebook, the pages lit up from the car's lights. On the page were the coordinates for where he had set Chicken out to lure animals. He read the coordinates out loud to himself. 46.28 minus 92.44, 46.30 minus 92.41, 46.56 minus 92.11, 47.08 minus 91.99, 47.78 minus 92.89. He now started the car, driving to the first coordinate. At the first site, we looked at the chicken, untouched, besides a group of ants which covered the exposed chicken leg. He looked around the surrounding area, a heave of tall grass blocking his view in for more than 5 feet. He kept driving, hitting the next stop with only the grass being swapped out for moss-infested trees. He then made his way to the third and fourth spot, with a small bird clipping away and stealing small pieces of the meat. Upon closer examination, the investigator concluded it was a blue jay and let it eat the remaining beet. The fifth spot was different, however. With the car's windows rolled down, he could hear the sounds of an animal eating. He kept driving slowly down the road, knowing that after a left turn, he would be able to see where he had laid the bait in an open field view. Within a minute, he made the turn, seeing a skulk of foxes rip away at the chicken. The investigator shook his head, then laid on the horn, the foxes fleeing away right after. Nick now got out, looking at the ripped meat and bones left by the animals. He could feel the foxes looking at him, but Nick felt something else as well, something more intense staring at him. "Hello," he called out again, the fleeing feet of the foxes being the only response. "Stupid," he now said, walking back to his car and driving away. Nick began to drift off, falling into his leather seats and quickly succumbing to his body wish of rest. Hours passed before light shone against the investigator's car. Bright lights, as if he was being born again, pointed directly at him, blinding the investigator to see where it was coming from. From the angle, he could tell that it was from an object down the road. The lights now getting brighter and closer. He started to panic, grabbing the keys he had placed in the cup holder and twisting it into the ignition lock. The car engine spit but didn't start. Nick tried again, more and more of the car being engulfed by the light. He then slammed on the steering wheel, his realization his car has been tampered with. But by who? He shook his head, waiting for the arrival of something else, but then saw something. In the rearview mirror, his eyes met with a dark green bulb. 2 bulbs emerging out of the head of a fur-coated human. Bigfoot, he said to himself, the lights now being a distant afterthought and Bigfoot being his main priority. Nick maintained vigilant eye contact with the creature, his attention being pulled from the large camouflaged metallic body of a SUV being set in front of the car, eliminating the chance of escape from the front. The Bigfoot creature behind him now pulled around to the side door. The creature pulled on the door, it being locked and slamming its ape fist against it. Nick moved to the other side of the car, the instant horror of hearing a click and seeing the unlock switch pop up. The creature tried the door again, this time being successful. It then went for the investigator's leg, grabbing it and holding as if it was a vice grip, now pulling him out of the car. The creature thrown both its long, muscular arms Nick, then a slap on the back of the head, causing him to become unconscious. "Where's Dip?" a man asked. "Who?" Nick went groggily, finally waking to his injuries. "Dip Lawrence, or if it a new name now?" the man continued questioning. "I don't know who you're talking about." Nick's eyes now opened, himself handcuffed to a metal pole support in a basement. "Where the hell am I?" he said, pulling the cuffs against the metal, now scraping them up and down. "Calm down. I promise, not even the strongest man alive could get out of those cuffs. You are our prisoner to answer our questions." The voice continued. "I don't know who you are, what this is about, anything. Let me go. People will be looking for me." Nick went. "What friends? Everyone in Oregon believes you are dead, and if you don't cooperate, that may soon be the case." A reply came. "Oregon, you're going to kill me? For what? I didn't do anything." "Out searching for a creature that you created, the same type that destroyed Livingston." The voice went. "No, I've never been to Oregon. I don't know who Dip Lonrice is. My name is Nick Stevens. I'm a private investigator that deals with paranormal activities. I came to research for an article in a newspaper." "And your old name is Nick Gibbs," the voice said. No. Check my ID. I've had it for years that the ink has molded itself into the paper. It will say my name is Nick Stevens. I live on 104th Street, Apartment 5. My date of birth is May 25th, 1989. The voice now presented its body, a muscular man in gray battle combat clothing. He looked through the belongings of the investigator, taking a long look at the ID. "Do we have the wrong person? You idiot son of a bitch!" The voice went, pounding a table, then swiping his fist, a bottle of whiskey flying off the table, shattering against the brick wall. "Dip and Nick," Nick Stevens said. "What was that?" the irritated interrogator asked. "Dip and Nick. They were a new group I met when I was out searching for aliens. First time I saw those two seemed like a father and son duo. The interrogator now sat in front of Nick, the dim light not letting Nick see any physical attributes beside his massive frame. Tell me everything. I first met them at Fontenelle Forest. They seemed pretty new, no expensive investigative equipment. But nothing too drastic about them. I didn't speak to them much. Nick went. Gotta give me more than that. Where were they from? The man asked. I'm not sure what part, but it's the city in Nebraska. Omaha, I believe. Nick replied. An hour later, Nick was unchained, then drug out into a car and driven to the country. There he was dropped, giving a verbal warning to never talk about the encounter again, and then another bag was tossed on him. Inside the bag was $10,000, enough that they hoped would keep his mouth shut. Nick now stood up, the car that had taken him already running away in the horizon. The sun was now starting to come up, enough for him to realize his nightmare might be over.